I'm Ian Law for Wheels. We're up here in Minden, Ontario at the ILR Winter Driving School to see if the Tesla Model S, a fully electric vehicle, makes a good winter car or not. We've got it charging up right now. We're going to head over to where we have our ice. We'll drive it around and see if an electric vehicle is as good on ice as a gasoline-powered vehicle or whether there are problems. Let's go have a look and see what it does. We're sitting inside the Tesla Model S up here at Minden at the ILR Winter Driving School. I'm with Colin Bowen, the owner. He's driven all the way up from the Hamilton area, all the way to Minden. So how many kilometers was that you drove, Colin?
It was about 200 through to Orillia and about 80 or so up here, so close to 300.
Close to 300 kilometers. Now, with electric vehicles, by far, most owners have that range anxiety.
Yep.
They're worried about how far they can actually go before the batteries just wear down and they're stuck somewhere.
Yep.
Did you experience that range anxiety with the vehicle? Is it a big issue with you?
It's not. I mean, it's about planning. When it comes to electric cars, there's actually a lot of charging stations around. They're just not well advertised at this point. There's a ton of sites out there that mash up on Google Maps where they all are. And as that awareness gets out there, you start to realize you can actually go quite far, which is why you see some companies like the folks at Sun Country Highway that did the Cross Canada tour with electric cars, proving that they can get across the country all on public charging stations. Likewise, a couple of owners in the US, they went and picked up their cars in Fremont in California and drove all the way back to the East Coast, to the Boston, Chicago type areas. So range anxiety isn't as much of an issue. It requires a little bit of planning, but it's becoming a lot easier. The charging technology is getting faster, more amps and volts are available, and the locations are just becoming more and more every year, reducing the need to worry about how far can I get. The nice thing about the Tesla approach as well is they're adapter based, and so I'm not stuck to a proprietary charging system. I can plug into a 110 outlet, which is what we're plugged into here today, a NEMA 1450 or a public charging station J1772, and then over time, the system's designed to build adapters for other types of receptacles as they become more and more available. So it allows me to plug in anywhere to get that extra little bit of juice, and that for me removes the range anxiety. As long as you're not in a rush and you plan it out, you can get pretty much anywhere in the country on electric.
Now, how did you find the electric car as a winter car? Electric motors have that phenomenal amount of torque, very linear torque, and most people realize that a lot of power isn't conducive to a good winter vehicle because you end up spending a lot of time spinning tires. How did you feel the electric vehicle with the electric motor and all that torque reacted as a winter vehicle?
Well, the first thing that you realize when you get an electric car is they actually, in some ways, make you a better driver, because battery consumption really has to do with how you drive. So if you're an aggressive driver, you're going to consume more battery, you'll get less range. And so within your first couple of days of driving, you learn that lesson pretty much right away. Well, guess what? In the winter, as you talked about in the course, smooth driving, slow, consistent control, really critical pieces. That's actually important for an electric car as well to get most range. So those two work hand in hand. And so when it came to the winter, I already leave space because I want to slow down and take advantage of regenerative braking. I don't want to put my pedal to the metal to accelerate because it's going to cost me a lot of battery usage. So if anything, it actually has made me a better winter driver from my previous gas cars, where I kind of felt, I can just fill up at any gas station. So I'm just going to floor it and be excessive in how I drove.
Yeah, the one issue that I noticed while driving it, and you noticed it too, was the regenerative braking. Now, in the summertime on dry roads, wet roads, it's not an issue. However, we did notice, and I've noticed this also in the Honda Hybrid, that regenerative braking is one of the main ways the vehicle tries to recover some energy to put back into the system. And it relies on slowing the vehicle down and using the brakes, or using not so much the brakes, but the engine to recharge the batteries. And it provides a braking force on those wheels that are attached to the drivetrain. On the Honda Hybrid, I noticed, because it was the front wheels, my concern was on winter roads, icy roads, that braking force on the front end may have an effect on the balance of the vehicle under braking. We noticed that in this particular vehicle, when you were on full regenerative power, that under braking, it tended to make the back end a little bit squirrely. So anybody with a electric vehicle have to take that into mind, that there is a slight different feel to getting off the gas compared to just a regular automatic vehicle. That there is that braking force on the rear that can balance it. And you found a way to overcome part of that by adjusting how much regenerative power is being produced by the vehicle.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the great things about the Tesla approach, is a lot of it's driven by software. And so the ability to switch down the behavior of regenerative braking, turn off traction control, is certainly my tools that I have today. But the folks at Tesla are actively watching what's happening, and there's already talk of a winter traction control mode. And I'll get that for free through a software update. And they're constantly learning and trying to evolve the car. And I'm not going to have to go buy the 20 whatever model, the 2015 model, to get that. They'll update it for us as current owners. And so, they're actively learning, so that as they get closer and closer to their mass production, broadly available car, they'll have learned a lot of those lessons and applied them. But certainly, that's where I felt like it was important to come up to a winter driving course like this, was to learn how the car handled and learn a little more about that. Because you're not going to learn it safely on the roads. And certainly there's no parking lots these days that don't have lights and medians and all these other things, so I can't just go fly it around a parking lot. So that's why this course for me was important, because now I appreciate those settings a lot more in a winter context.
There's a lot to learn about the vehicle.
Absolutely.
So in my opinion, I've driven Porsches and high-powered cars on ice and in winter conditions, and now I haven't driven the Tesla with being a full electric vehicle. The Tesla does indeed make a good winter driving vehicle, as long as the vehicle is equipped with good quality winter tires, and Colin has done that with his vehicle. There are a few little nuances that having an electric car you have to adapt to, but that's all part of owning the experience of owning an electric vehicle.
And I think that's really in any car. Every time you get a new car, they all behave differently, and that's why I say that courses like what you guys offer are really important for any driver getting a brand new vehicle, especially when you switch from front to rear wheel drive, electric to gas, from gas to electric. Get to know your car and how it behaves.
Great stuff. So what it boils down to is the Tesla Model S is an adequate winter vehicle. Just because you have an electric vehicle does not mean you have to put it away and drive something else through the winter. It can be done. you plan out your charging stations, and you enjoy your vehicle just like any other vehicle. So electric vehicles doesn't mean you're limited to what you can do. Just plan ahead. Thank you very much, Colin.
Great. Thanks a lot, Ian.
Thanks for coming out to the school, and
Great.
thanks for the
Appreciate it.
opportunity to drive a full electric vehicle in the winter conditions.
Great. Thanks a lot.
I'm Ian Law for Wheels.ca.